Should college athletes be paid? By Malachi Matthews, and my candidate number is 5151. Alright, for starters, the National Collegiate Athletic Association is a nonprofit organization that regulates athletes in the continent of North America. Over 1,268 different schools across the nation. So first of all, the problem is that college athletes work their butts off and they are basically not reaping any of the benefits that they bring to their organizations. For starters, football players, when they're on a football team, at least a Division I football team, and their games are televised or broadcasted, they are bringing in a load of money for their school and different events such as like Pro Bowls or division conferences that like are the finals that are elevated number of people that are watching the shows are gonna drive up a whole bunch of publicity for their school in general. Another example of this is college basketball players. They are an extremely high revenue source for the big schools, especially during March Madness, which is, like I said, another elevated time for publicity for the school within itself, because a bunch of people are wanting to watch their favorite college team showcase their talent. So the national average for, or the revenue average for the NCAA, football made an average of $31 million, almost $32 million, and men's basketball made $8 million. That is an astronomical amount of money that is just given to the school and helped distributed to upgrade their facilities and pay off the pay the coaches. But there's still a huge amount of money that is left over that could be used to give to the players, but it's just not being done. This is just the amount of money that the NCAA made in 2017. They made an estimated $1.1 billion, and all of that money went to either upgrading facilities or paying the coaches, but there was still tons of money that was left over because not all of that money was going to coaches' salaries. So the perspectives, I focused on the coach's perspective, and another member of my group, Malcolm Freeman, will be taking the parents' perspective. Another member, Vincent Parisi, will be taking the perspective of the players. Another member, Dante, will be taking the NCAA perspective, which is, like I said before, the National Athletic Association. So what these different perspectives are basically is mine and Dante's are going to be more of the business standpoint, and then Malcolm's and Vincent's are going to be more of the family / player perspective. So the first global issue I have here is a head coach from BUCS, which is the British Universities in College Sports, which is kind of like the NCAA of the UK. And this is a professional rugby player that turned into a coach. He coaches one of the best rugby teams in the UK. One of his quotes that he said, "It's completely unacceptable how I'm making a substantial amount of money to coach these kids and they're the ones that are risking essentially their lives and getting it done." So what he's talking about is that he's just trying to say that he's getting paid a ton of money and the players that are doing the work and risking getting injured aren't getting paid anything at all. My second global example is the CUBA, which is the Chinese University Basketball Association. This is one of the head coaches for Shanghai's team. His name is Zhang Furganin. One of his quotes that he was talking about in a press conference is he said that scholarships just simply isn't enough. So that brings us to the first alternate argument, is that people are saying that they shouldn't be getting paid because they're on scholarship, but we have people like him that is a head coach of the team, and they agree with the standpoint that a scholarship just isn't enough for these players. So Florida, my local area is going to be Florida. And Florida is the third most populous state. It is the eighth most densely populated state. It is the southernmost state in the United States with the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico on either sides. There's an estimated 20 million Floridians, that's as of 2017. And the amount of D1 schools in the state of Florida that are in the NCAA are 19. So this really hones in on why I chose this topic, because here in Florida we have 19 of some of the best Division I schools in the country. So my local issue is a player that plays at the University of Florida, or played at the University of Florida, Percy Harvin. He was a running back. He was a first-round draft pick overall in 2009 in the NFL to the Minnesota Vikings. But he was an insanely amazing and truly gifted player for the University of Florida that not only led them to a championship that year in 2006, but also broke a whole bunch of school records and was constantly getting endorsements from different teams or different companies like Nike. And all that money that he essentially was bringing to the program was going straight to the program and to pay the coaches, and he didn't receive any of it. He currently plays for the Minnesota Vikings now. That just goes to show you that from a college athlete can go to an NFL player and not really make any money when they were in college, and now they are making money, but they weren't when they were in college. Local issue number 2 is Urban Meyer, which is the head coach of UF, and also Reggie Lewis. Reggie Lewis was a cornerback at UF. And he also brought a whole bunch of money to the school, but also wasn't paid at all. A quote said by the UF head coach at the time was that we could not have done this with some of the most raw talent I've ever seen. The Huffington Post, 9506. The Huffington Post is a great source of information because of how reliable they are. They never really put out false news or fake anything like that. So my solution is fairly simple. It's local and global. Is that some of the money that different teams bring in, it should be bracketed from different sports. So like the more endorsing sports like basketball and football should obviously that bring in the most money for the school. They should be bracketed and paid the players that are doing the most for the team. And Time Magazine also did a whole argument segment about why college athletes should be paid, and they discussed why they could and shouldn't, because if they were paid, they would have to pay taxes, and then they would have to pay their tuition, and the fees of tuition wouldn't really outweigh what they would be normally making, so they would only be making a little bit over $2,000. But these are my references, and that's it.